Hello my friends. My name is Bot Mathematician, and this is Holomancer.
And of course, I am the daring reporter Dora.
We are very glad to see you all again.
A grave threat looms over the future of Hearthstone.
Legend of Runeterra, the new collectible card game from Riot Games, might kill us all with its generosity.
The end is coming!
It is commonly believed that this is the first truly free-to-play card game.
We were forced to infiltrate the ranks of its players and conduct an investigation.
In this video, we will tell you about the economy and game mechanics of the new Hearthstone Killer.
Spoiler warning, we have the impression that Riot Games has misled us, but first things first.
Despite our review, we encourage you to install Legend of Runeterra and make up your own mind. We believe the community needs to test more good card games to increase their expectations of the Hearthstone devs.
To begin, we will try to very briefly determine the game's main gameplay features. Instead of the hero's face, you must deal 20 damage to the opponent's nexus. You and your opponent always have the same amount of mana. At the end of each round, any unused mana becomes spell mana, up to a maximum of 3, and this mana can only be used to cast spell cards.
But the most important difference is the attack and defense tokens.
Only one player receives the attack token, while the other receives the defense token. Only the player with the attack token may attack during the round, and after each round the tokens switch between players. Playing a card means putting it on the field instead of in your hand. Once on the field, you may place them forward once more to either attack or defend with them. When attacking, if no opposing card blocks, your card will hit the nexus of the enemy player, dealing damage equal to its power stat. Throughout the round, your opponent has the opportunity to respond to your actions. When you play a minion or spell, your enemy gets the opportunity to play a card as well, then you can react to these actions.
All of this makes the game incredibly flexible and diverse. You must constantly adapt to the strategy of your enemy.
What about cards?
Here are some quick facts. There are no neutral cards in this game. There are 6 different factions instead. You can combine champions and decks of 2 regions, making a temporary alliance between them. The game contains 3 types of cards: champions, followers, and spells. Champions are the most powerful cards in the game and have criteria that when met level up the card into a more powerful version. Followers consist of all other normal playable minions.
Every spell has a speed property that determines when that spell can be played, and whether an opponent can respond before its effect resolves.
Champions look very promising.
Yes, they look really interesting, especially knowing that your opponent has a lot of opportunities to prevent your plans to level them up.
Despite all of these advantages, I have mixed feelings. The game contains a large number of cards, and almost every card has a special effect, description or keyword. The number of mechanics is too large for beginners to understand the game. Of course, there are some similar mechanics from Hearthstone. For example, Last Breath is an analog to Death Rattle, and Stun is similar to the Freeze effect. A beginner needs to learn more than 30 different keywords right away. If you have experience in card games, it will be much easier to do this, but if Runeterra is your first collectible card game, it is likely that you will be overwhelmed.
Dora, we absolutely agree with you. Despite all the flexibility, the game is much more complicated than Hearthstone. But this is not bad. First of all, the game may appeal to hardcore players, or to players who are tired of random number generator.
But there is a more serious problem: battles are too long. One round contains too many phases and actions. You constantly have to wait for the enemy's reactions to your actions.
Let's talk about monetization, as many say that it is revolutionary.
The main resource is experience. First, you must select the fraction whose cards you want to receive for your collection. As you play, you'll complete quests and earn experience, and automatically unlock new cards.
But this does not mean that players who play all day will receive a huge amount of benefits, as the number of experience for victories gradually decreases. You can switch regions whenever you want, which makes assembling your deck a whole lot easier. One thing worth pointing out is that you can only have 3 copies of each card in your collection. If you receive a 4th copy of a common or rare card, it will be automatically broken down into shards. Shards are similar to Hearthstone's dust. Extra copies of epic and champion cards are converted to a different card of the same quality that you do not already own.
Once a week, you'll also unlock chests from the vault. The vault levels up as you play, and upgrades the rewards inside.
That sounds promising, but I don't believe the promises. How fast can I get a complete collection of cards?
Yes, Dora, not everything is so simple. You will spend about 2 weeks obtaining all of the free rewards for one faction. But in this case you will not receive every card, you will receive only about half of the legendary and epic cards. Thus, in order to collect at least one effective deck from 2 regions, you need to spend between 2 weeks and a month playing. Even in this case, you may not get all of the necessary legendary and epic cards. We believe that you need to spend about 3 months to collect all of the free rewards for each faction. After that, weekly chests will become your main source of resources. This type of reward will help you fill the gaps in your collection. Although the cards you receive will almost always be common or rare.
Of course, it is too early to draw final conclusions, but we will try to share our first impressions, based on preliminary calculations and a week spent in the game.
First of all, this is a really interesting monetization system that provides a guaranteed generous reward every day. But there are several very important drawbacks. Firstly, crafting cards from shards is too expensive.
In addition, you cannot independently get rid of useless cards in the collection to get some shards for crafting cards with high rarity.
Yes, players have the opportunity to get a certain amount of wild cards, special tokens which players can exchange for necessary cards with the same rarity, but the chances of getting a high rarity token are very small. By the way, during the closed beta test, players always received 1 golden wildcard in their weekly chest. Now the game does not have such an opportunity. Riot Games, thanks for the generosity. We don't quite understand what actions the players should take in the future to get the few missing high-rarity cards in their collection. It looks like they will have to spend a large amount of time collecting enough shards.
According to our estimates, this can take from 2 weeks to collect the resources for crafting 1 legendary card.
I seem to know a solution to this problem. You only need to pay $5 and you can buy one of the legendary and epic wildcards, which can be exchanged for the necessary cards.
On the one hand the game is generous, but in some situations the game forces you to make a purchase. In our opinion, this is a hidden way to take our money.
Time to pay!
As far as I remember, the developers promised to make a game that does not steal our money. Have we been deceived again?
We do not know the answer to this question. Perhaps our assumption is erroneous, since too little time has passed since the release of the open beta. In addition, as we said, during the closed beta test this was not a problem.
But we can say with confidence that cards bring the most money to the developers. There is nothing wrong with this, since any content should bring money to its creators. Moreover, most likely you will have to spend less money than in Hearthstone for a good collection. But you must admit the headline, "The first truly free card game," sounds more vivid than, "This new game is cheaper than Hearthstone."
Do you think Runeterra has the potential to kill Hearthstone?
The game is definitely interesting. It is not ordinary, and it is moderately complex. It could potentially take part of the audience from Hearthstone, but it will not be able to kill the game, especially with such a monetization system.
Hearthstone is too perfect in terms of design. Do not get me wrong, Hearthstone has a huge amount of problems, but Team 5 managed to create a game with the perfect balance of simplicity, fun and strategy, one which is understandable to a wide range of players. This is the perfect combination. I don't believe that any studio will ever be able to create a better game and thus kill Hearthstone.
Let's look at the interest of the audience on the Twitch.
For this, we drew a special schedule. So, as you can see, interest in Gwent and Magic the Gathering was very small in relation to Hearthstone. Now let's add a Runeterra popularity graph. As you can see, despite the huge audience of Riot Games, the new game did not attract much interest. Also, note that the number of stream views is decreasing every day. The emergence of a new competitor has had almost no effect on Hearthstone.
Despite all its flaws, we hope Legend of Runeterra will find an audience and contribute to the development of the genre as a whole. Since players tend to lose interest in card games, the genre needs new ideas and concepts. In addition, Hearthstone really needs a strong competitor.
Dear friends, what are your impressions? Have you played this new game from Riot Games?
Do you agree with our opinions or not? Share your opinion in the comments.
Please like, subscribe and click the bell icon to get new video updates.
Alright, that's all for today. Thank you for being with us.
And special thanks to Chris for text editing.
We will meet in new videos.
Good luck.